Hello and welcome back to the Pet Business Wellbeing Podcast with me, Nathan Dunleavy. This is the podcast where we talk about the realities of running a pet business, the highs, the challenges, and most importantly, how to look after your well-being whilst you do it. Because running a business should support your life, not consume it. Hello everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Really excited to bring you another guest today, Emily Thomas. Welcome to the Pet Business Wellbeing Podcast. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are most welcome. For those listeners or viewers who may not know you yet, please could you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Okay, so my name is Emily Thomas. I am probably best known for my retail business, which is Canine Trail Time, that I set up in 2000. But I have done a few other things since then, including set up and then step away from a canine hydrotherapy business. Also set up with a couple of friends of mine, a Canicross coaching business, which is more about training the trainer so that they have a good understanding of what it takes to be a coach. I have set up a new business called Active Dog Academy, which is about keeping your dog as active for as long as possible. And alongside that, I'm also now training to be a veterinary physiotherapist. So lots going on.
There is lots going on, so we're going to be talking about all those different parts. So I'd love to start by taking you right back to the beginning, Emily. You've built and stepped away from a hydrotherapy business. You ran, is it Canicross retail business and a coaching business? You're now training, as you said, to become a veterinary physiotherapist. So how has that journey evolved over the years? What have been some of the biggest decisions or turning points that have shaped where you are now?
Right back in the beginning, the reason that I started Canicross because I had a dog who was a husky collie cross, and I'm going to hold my hand up. I did not do my research on those breeds before I got her. I thought she was a very pretty dog. She came from rescue. She was about a year old. And I very quickly realized that this was a dog that was going to challenge me. And so I looked for things for us to do. And I'll try and keep it as brief as possible. But basically, we got kicked out of agility classes. We got kicked out of dog training classes. We got kicked out of flyball because she was quite reactive towards other dogs. And so eventually I found Canicross, and it started my love of it because everybody was so welcoming and everybody was so encouraging having a reactive dog rather than just saying, oh, you're disrupting everybody else. It was an outlet for her where she didn't have to feel she had to react to other dogs, because when they're canicrossing, they're running out in front of you. They're all running in the same direction if you're taking part in a group or in a race situation. And so I started to look more into it, started to encourage people that I knew into it, wanted to get more kit in. And at the time, there wasn't a provider that was providing all the different colours and all the different brands that I wanted. And so I was like, I'm very much a matchy person. I like to have dogs in colours. And so I was like, oh, I'll just get some bits in and then maybe my friends will buy some. And it got a little bit out of control then, because like I said, nobody else was really doing that at the time. And so I thought, make a business out of this. So I started taking stuff to events, and it just developed. And then in 2016, I think it was, I ended up giving up my job and taking the plunge, because obviously I had a job at that point. It was an office job. It was very dull. And making a full-time go of it. And the more I got into it, the more I found what I wanted to really focus on. And that is about like the longevity of dogs within sport. So keeping them as fit and as active as possible. And obviously part of that was getting them the right equipment so they weren't harmed by the harnesses. And I learned a lot about harness fitting, learned a lot about what works, what doesn't, and also started to look at the biomechanics of it. As I developed through the sport over the years with my dogs, one of them, a different dog, not the original one, because I've now got 4, but a different dog ended up with spondylosis. So, of course, I did all my research into that and was trying to find out what would benefit him. Hydrotherapy came up, so I took him along to some hydrotherapy. But I am that annoying person that asks questions all the time. Why? Why are you doing that? Why is that? Why is that? And I wasn't really getting the answers that I wanted. So I thought, okay, I'll go and train in hydrotherapy because that'll give me the answers that I want.
Right, okay.
So yeah, that was how the hydrotherapy came about. And a friend of mine was looking for, she's very much involved in the sports side of the sled dog world. And she was looking
Yeah.
at marginal gains for her dogs when she was competing internationally. I was looking more at the rehab side of it, but we got together and set up a centre. So yeah, it's all about, or it's always all been about for me, making sure that the dogs that are competing in our sports are getting the best possible care that they can at every life stage. So that's where that's gone. And then, yeah, other businesses have come as a result of that.
I love it. I love that. And you come from a corporate officey job like a lot of us have done, and we've fallen into it, and we've got into the industry because of our own dogs for whatever reason. And I just love that you didn't like that, so you went and learned about it, and then you were like, do this, do that. But so you had the hydrotherapy business for 6 years, is that right? And then you stepped away.
Yes, I stepped away from it. It was last year because
Oh,
it was
recent.
based, yeah, it was based where I was living. And I've been very fortunate enough to basically, at the beginning of last year, move to my dream house.
Oh,
Which is in South Wales, which is
oh, lovely.
out of the way for where I was. But yeah, it's
Okay.
over 2 hours to the hydrotherapy centre. And so it didn't really make sense to continue with it. It was difficult for me to
Mm.
not have the hands-on, because that's the part of the job that I really loved. Was that we had a treadmill, an underwater treadmill. And actually that's the bit of the job that I really loved, being in the tank with the dogs and watching them move and seeing if you could, tweak the water height, tweak the speed to get them basically moving as efficiently as possible and to help strengthen muscles and all that kind of thing. Not being
Mm.
able to do that hands-on meant that it didn't really make sense for me anymore.
Okay.
So,
And so what, did you sell your share or
yes,
just,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But what, did you not want to set it up like where you are now based then?
It's quite hard to do on your own. These things
Right,
are,
okay.
there's a lot of initial investment that goes into a
Mm,
hydrotherapy centre.
I bet.
It takes an awful long time to make that investment back. And because I have so many other things that I do, juggling everything, I don't know, last year I just felt like I needed to let go of a lot of things to make space for the things that were really important to me, if that makes sense.
I
Now,
totally get that.
I just, and actually running that business from an admin side was just a chore. And if I tried to set it up again, I've set up a few businesses now, and it is really hard work in the beginning. You have to
Yeah.
be 100% on the go all the time, all the hours to begin with, to get
Yeah.
off the ground. And then there's a period where things, begin to make sense and you think, oh, actually, maybe I can step back a little bit. But
Mm.
if you found this, but there's been a lot of changes in our economic environment recently, which have meant that constantly having to change and adapt and think about different processes. We've got AI coming in all the time now, and it's really hard when you're an individual business owner to actually keep on top of everything because there's
There is.
so much to do.
There
Um,
is.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
just felt I wanted to focus on the things that I really wanted to do. And actually, I've wanted to get involved in the veterinary physiotherapy side because you don't need that initial outlay like you do with the hydrotherapy to get going.
Mm,
You have animals in front of you, you can treat them. You don't need
yeah.
to have a very expensive piece of equipment and a premises to be able to do that.
That's true. And obviously, a lot of vet physios, they mobile and they go to people's
Yeah.
homes, don't they? I know I've had a vet physio for one of my dogs and she's mobile and she travels around. Yes, there's a few bits of equipment. She's got a laser machine, so that could be an expense at some point. And obviously, different things to do, like the exercises and blocks and
Yeah.
things for them to balance on and stuff. But like you say, it's not that a big initial outlay. So, what's it like then, juggling or running multiple businesses? Are you still doing that now?
Yeah, so my main business always has and always will be the retail business. I have a background through school, college, and when I first left university in retail. For some reason, I like it, and I'm not really sure that I understand even myself why I like retail, but I do. And I like meeting people and their dogs and having that interaction. So that's always going to be my number one. But then the Canicross coaching business is amazing because it allows me to share the knowledge that I've built up over, I mean, I've been canicrossing since 2009. So what's that, 17 years this year?
Yeah.
With other people so that they can then go on to help other people. And there's lots of barriers with canicross, like people don't think they're fit enough, they're not a runner, they think their dog's too small. There are all these myths around it, and with a coach and getting the information out there and doing it with people so that their dogs are safe, so that they're safe, so that everybody's comfortable and happy, makes it fun, which means that more people are going to be doing it, more people are going to benefit from it. And there are so many health benefits from Canicross, physical and mental ones. So that part of what I do, like the Canicross coach stuff, is really important to me as well, because it fundamentally brings in clients to my retail business. But for me, it's about sharing the fact that if you do this with your dogs, you can improve their quality of life, your quality of life, and build a bond with them. The dog that I mentioned started it all off for me. She had really bad separation anxiety, and
Oh, I got one of them sat on my lap.
it was brutal. She used to destroy my house, and that was why I was looking
Oh,
for something for us to do. And the difference that Canicross made to her behavior, and I'm not saying,
oh,
I'm not
interesting.
saying it's the be all and end all for everyone, but giving her a job to do meant that she really began to trust and settle and stopped. She always had that element, I'm not going to lie. She had that tendency, if she got very frustrated, she would still be destructive, even right up until the week that I lost her. She was still like that. That was part of her. But
Yeah.
I've noticed and shared so many people's experiences where their dog's behavior and the human and canine bond has improved through shared activity of Canicross. So it's really
That's really
important
interesting.
to me. Yeah, it's really important to me that all my businesses are based on essentially what I've experienced with my own dogs and improving things for people and making it easier for them, making dogs' lives better. And so that's always been at the forefront of everything that I've done. Probably, I would say, to the detriment of some of the financial benefits that you could get from these. I'm never going to be a millionaire, put it that way.
I don't think any of us are. I'm not too familiar with Canicross, so do excuse my ignorance. But for anyone watching or listening, it's more than just running with your dog, isn't it? Can you just give us an overview of what Canicross is, please?
Yeah, so essentially it's cross-country running with your dog attached to you. So they have a correctly fitted sports harness that is designed to take the pull of a dog running in it. You're attached by a bungee lead, which is obviously stretchy and takes out that sort of bounce if a dog is really pulling and they pull you toward thing. And you have a belt which is fitted around, they're called waist belts, but they're fitted around your hips because that's the widest point and the safest point for you to have your dog attached to you. And then you train them cues. So everybody always says, oh, I never really thought about that. But you actually train your dog to pull. And the reason for that is so that you can train them not to pull as well.
Yeah, because that was, I think, it's a bit of a myth. Are you just encouraging the dog to pull, no? On a
Yeah.
short lead?
No, it actually makes training dogs not to pull easier because you have cues for them to pull. So all these
Okay.
people that go, "Oh, my dog pulls me around, it's a nightmare and everything," just start Canicross and then you can start working on the training. But obviously directions and things like that are all part and parcel of what you train. And yes, when you get it, when it all just kind of clicks, and sometimes it can take a long time, it's fantastic just being able to go out and run with your dog and they're listening to you, they're focusing, and that's why it's tiring for them mentally as well as physically, because they're not just off doing their own thing, they're not disconnected from you, they're actually working with you and training with you. And I think that's what made the difference for me, was because I was actually seeing that I was quickly getting more of a relationship with my dogs through running with them than I was just
Mm.
letting them free run. Or, at the time there, like I said, I tried so many different activities, but we weren't allowed to go back to some of those. So yeah.
Bless. Well, it's one door closes, another opens, so it sounds like it's been for the better for you both.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. It's been great.
It's
So
opened a lot of doors for you, actually.
yeah, yeah. And Canicross is people often talk about it as being like really good for reactive dogs, which it is. But I would add into that the caveat that it's good for reactive dogs as long as they can cope if you're going to take them out in a group situation with that, because you often see people that are really keen to get that with their dogs, but they go out in a group situation and that you can see that the dog is not quite ready for that. They're reacting, they're quite over threshold. And so I'm like, it is good for reactive dogs, but you have to do work on your own first and build up to maybe going out with one or two people and then building up the groups. Quite often people will just go to a Canicross race and the dogs are like, what is going on? And they can't cope. But that's what I help people
Oh,
with. I help people to overcome that, because if you don't know what happens at a Canicross race, it's loud because all the dogs are very excited about what they're about to start doing. Uh,
oh,
but it can be quite overwhelming for people who have never seen it before. But yeah, that's what our coaches do, and that's what I help people with as well.
yeah, brilliant. So I'd love to know, how do you decide which gets your time and energy? Or is it a mixture of both, or trying to get a healthy balance?
Yeah, trying to get a healthy balance. It is hard because I've also got this active dog academy, which I've not done a lot with. And that's
Mm.
more sort of the side. So I did a year's course, which was alongside my sort of therapy stuff when I was training to be a hydrotherapist. So I'm a certified canine conditioning therapist as well. So that is
Oh,
along the lines of canine conditioning and exercises. But I've not done a huge amount with that yet because I'm waiting now until I can get the other qualifications to back it up better. Thanks.
yeah,
But
definitely.
I think all of them require lots of marketing. It's generally, I think, the thing that a lot of business owners don't like is putting the time into social media and sharing things. And I will say that is something that I actually don't mind doing, because
Neither do I.
I really don't. I put quite a lot of what I'm doing with my own dogs on social media, and I'm constantly videoing what we're doing and taking photos of them. And if we get new kit in, they all have to have the new kit because I have to try it out, obviously, for all of my customers first. But then I have to have one in each colour for each of the dogs. But I know that a lot of people
Love that.
struggle with that, and it is hugely time consuming, don't get me wrong. Some days you just think, what am I going to put out there today? Sometimes you don't feel like it.
No,
I've
I
had
know.
I've had a really I've had two dogs that have gone in for CT scans this week, and there's been a lot of
Oh,
around
gosh.
that and worry, and I've just sat there and thought, I really don't feel like posting anything today. I don't feel like sharing anything, but consistency is part of it, of having a
It
business.
is.
And
Yeah,
if
you got to keep showing up.
you have got to keep showing up. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for just taking some time out. And of course, you can schedule things. It's not like you have to do stuff yourself every day, but actually
Mm,
coming up with the ideas and everything. But when you've got a community, when you've built up a community and a following, people expect stuff from you. They expect to hear from you. And I think that that forms part of your business then. And if people don't hear from you or don't see the right sort of things that connect with them regularly, then they switch off and find something else. So, yeah,
agreed. Yeah.
yeah.
So let's touch on this. What's it called? Activity Dog. Tell me what this is.
Right. The Active Dog Academy.
Oh,
Yes. So it's basically set up so that we could do online courses with people to encourage them to do canine conditioning activities with their dogs. It's mainly sports people, sports dog people. So people that do agility, people that do canicross, people that do other sports that are interested in this. But for example, runners don't just run. Good runners don't just run. They understand they have to do strength and conditioning. Yeah, I turn my nose up at this because it's like weightlifting and Pilates and things like that. And yeah, I just like running with my dogs. But if you don't do the ground foundational stuff, then you get injured.
true.
And it's the same with our dogs. And so the more I've learned about injuries and the fact that arthritis is a huge issue for dogs. That the conservative estimates are that it's somewhere in the region of 80% of dogs over the age of 8, but I think that's conservative, have arthritis. And so anything that we can do to help support our dogs is what I'm trying to cover in the Active Dog Academy. So exercises, you have that. I think the more you learn, with that wonderful hindsight that you get, you think, oh, I wish I'd done that. Warming up and cooling down, it wasn't a thing in Canicross when I first started, and I don't know why, because I also, a long time before that, had a horsey background, and you would never go and do a show jumping class without having warmed your horse up first. But people were going out and doing agility rings, like rounds, without warming their dogs up properly. People were going out and doing the Canicross races without warming their dogs up properly. And I don't know why it didn't twig until, like I said, my dog had spondylosis. And I said, is there anything that I could have done differently? And the vet said, no. But then I was talking to people, therapists and people who were actually in the therapy industry, and they were like, have you always warmed up? Have you done any strength? And I was like, no, I haven't. And they were like, not saying that's the cause, not saying that it would have made a difference, but these things all help to protect our dogs. And so, yeah, I want to educate people on that as well. I want to help people so that their dogs have as active a life for as long as possible that they can. Everybody just has more fun that way, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's all about having fun. As soon as you take the fun out of it and it becomes a chore, then there's no
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
You need to have fun with your dogs. So, what are you learning about yourself through your different career shifts that you've had?
Oh, I suppose I've learned that I actually really enjoy teaching. So I've really enjoyed putting together information for people. And as much as those posts don't tend to do so well, so that social media side of it, if it's about education, doesn't tend to get the engagement that other things do. However, I still think it's really important to have that in there because it is part of showing that you actually know what you're talking about as well. And so I've learned quite a lot about teaching, and I didn't think of myself when I started out on this journey as going down that path. It
Mm,
surprised me how much teaching and coaching I actually do with people when I
yeah.
started off actually just wanting to sell some harnesses because I wanted different colours for my own dogs. So that's really surprised me is how it's gone into that side of things and how much I enjoy that side of it as well. So I think,
Mm,
yeah, I've learned that. I've learned that I am not good at being trolled on the internet as well. I thought I would be able to take not criticism, but sort of negativity from people. And actually, I've discovered that I'd rather not, actually. I'd rather not take anything like that negative from people. It really changes the way that I feel about sort of social media. Most of the time, I love it because it's, sharing with your community and you get things back from people. But then for the 100 or so people that will post the lovely photos of their dogs and say, this is great, and you get one person that says something negative and it will drag me down for weeks,
I
potentially.
know. Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah. Would you say that you see every chapter as separate or are they all connected?
I think they're all very much connected because I think I'm a lifelong learner, and I think this is where it's all come from. I started off just wanting to sell a few harnesses, but then I wanted to know more about what harnesses were going to work and why. So that then took me down the biomechanics and the anatomy side of the dogs, which then you start thinking about injuries, and that was why I ended up with the hydrotherapy. And then, what could I have done to help? So it took me off down the canine conditioning route, and then it was actually my own dog's physiotherapist said, what on earth are you faffing around with that for? Just do a physiotherapy course because you obviously want to learn more about this, and that's going to give you, because it's degree level, that's going to give you the information that you're looking for to tie into everything else. And like I
Mm,
said, it just means that people can have the confidence when they come to me for a harness fitting. I'm not just saying this harness because this is the in brand and it's the right color for you. I'm telling you that this is the harness that fits your dog best because I'm watching how your dog moves in it. I'm checking all the bony structures on your dog's particular frame to make sure that nothing is restricting. And they then get that confidence in me because they know that actually if people want me to talk about it, I can talk about it all day because it's what really interests me. So
yeah.
I think all these different chapters have been connected. And obviously, if I do end up, no, when I end up setting up the physiotherapy side of things, because if I don't end up using it, there are going to be a few family members that are pretty cross with me. When I end up setting it up,
Yes.
that will then be, I can get my hands on somebody's dog and say, actually, I think you need to perhaps think about therapy rather than a different harness, which is quite often what I say now. If somebody comes to me and says, oh, my dog isn't moving as well in this harness, I need a new harness. I'm like, when was the last time you had them checked out by a vet physio? Because
Mm,
very often it's about they have tension somewhere and actually the dog is fine in that harness. It's just that they have, like we all get, tightness in our muscles, which means that we move differently and then they don't seem so happy. So if I can just do that myself, then I rule out, I keep the business to me. maybe, maybe there's a chance that I can retire one day.
oh, bless you. I'm wondering if this is linked because you mentioned about some trolling. So offline, you've mentioned to me about the perils of PR. So it instantly intrigued me. What have your experiences with PR and visibility taught you about putting you and your business out there, both the good and not so good, Emily?
Well, it's like I said to you, I put a lot of my life with my dogs out there, which I think is really great because people can see that I'm walking the walk. I am not just selling stuff for the sake of selling stuff, but I think I am a constant optimist and I trust people, and I'm very much, I look at things in quite a positive way when I am doing things. So it was over 2 years ago now, I got asked to go onto a TV program with a very well-known and very Marmite dog trainer to show Canicross. It was a dog that the people that were on the show couldn't get to walk, basically. This dog was lying down in the street. And so they said, this dog trainer is going to work with them, but we think it would look really good if at the end of the show, we showed the dog actually running as the polar opposite to how it started off. And I said, okay, I can't guarantee that we'd be able to get the dog happy with running, but I can come along and you can see what you think, and we'll do some Canicross training. So they asked the trainer. Now, I know this dog trainer is not very well respected in modern dog training circles. So I asked my dog training friends what they thought about it, because I was nervous, because I thought, if I go on this program, the association is obviously with this dog trainer, and I didn't know what the result of that was going to be. And everybody that I spoke to said, go, show Canicross. It's positive. It's show how something that is positive and encouraging can actually make a difference. And so I thought, yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it's a good platform to show how sports activities with your dog is a way to build that bond and overcome behavioral issues, if you like. And so went along, took one of my dogs. I call him my Mary Poppins dog, because he's practically perfect in every way. And he came with me and helped to encourage this little spaniel cross. We spent an afternoon filming, and I was really pleased because this dog was very excited about doing this. And from a dog that didn't want to go anywhere and do anything, picked it up really quickly. So I was like, oh, this is going to be fantastic. This is going to really show Canicross off to people. It's going to show how positive you can be. You don't have to do anything negative in your training. It can all just be a positive experience. And so when it came out, I shared that I had done that, and all I got was abuse because of the fact that it was with this particular dog trainer that people didn't like. To the point where people actually were saying things that, like, I've aligned myself with animal abusers, and
bloody hell.
yeah, and they were disgusted with me, they were disappointed with me, and I was absolutely gutted. I can't even begin to tell you, like, how sad I was. That was all that people could see, rather than the fact that this little dog had been not happy in its situation, and we'd gone along and we'd done something really positive. You can tell I'm getting emotional about it now, because I just couldn't believe that was how people took it. And even some of the people that know me were like, can't believe you did this. And I was like, I was literally just trying to show how positive our sport can be for other people, because it has a platform. And in the end, I had about 2 weeks of it where I just wanted to stop doing anything. I just wanted to hide. I started hiding people's comments because I couldn't take it. Everything that I have always done has been about the best for my dogs, the best for other people's dogs, to try and get in better situations. And there I was being accused of, like I said, some people even went as far as to say I'd aligned myself with the animal abusers. And I was like, wow, that is just the last thing that I would have expected to.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it's hard because I put my head above the parapet. I put myself and my business out there, and that was what happened. And so I was absolutely devastated about it, and even more gutted because I'd had such a lovely experience with that dog, with that family on that day. We'd got such a great positive result out of it for that dog, but nobody
No
wanted
one could see.
that.
No, they couldn't see beyond it, could they?
No.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
It's one of those things. And I went back to everybody that had told me to do it, and I said, have I done the wrong thing? Everyone's saying that I shouldn't have done it. And I'm like, I'm now questioning it, because I could have just said no, but I thought I'm really positive.
Yeah, I get obviously your point. I think with the trainer I'm thinking it is, I think it's because he's not qualified, and then they do get in other trainers to do the work. But from your perspective, what you were trying to do was, even regardless of all of that and all the bad rep he's got, you want to come in to show your particular sport in a positive light and to show the difference it could make. But people, unfortunately, they're very just narrow minded. They couldn't see beyond it because all they could see was this other person. They couldn't see what was going on beneath the surface, and that's really frustrating. But unfortunately, that is what parts of the industry are like.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons why I've never called myself a dog trainer. I don't. I say that I train people to run with their dogs. That's what I do. I train people to run with their dogs. I don't train
Okay.
dogs. They train their own dogs. I train them.
Yeah.
I don't want. I've found that was so toxic. I was like, I don't want to be part of that. I can't mentally cope with that. When you use social media a lot, like you do for your business, and people, sometimes, like I say, people that even knew me were making comments because it just seemed to get wound up and wound up. And I was like, I can't mentally cope with this. It's not what I set out to do my business for. It's not anything like what my aims and my goals and my visions for everything that I do is. And so, yeah, I just went and hid for a bit and was like, okay, let's just not mention that again then. And that's why I said to you before we started this, I haven't spoken about it because I've been too scared to. I've been too,
Oh, bless you. That's really sad. Yeah. And the
you
fact that
know,
obviously that all happened, and yeah, you've obviously clearly still affected by it and getting upset and stuff.
yeah, but it has been over 2 years now. Hopefully, people have forgiven me, and I'm not that disgusting person anymore. I hope I
Oh
prove
gosh,
that I, I'm just here for the dogs. That's why I do it. I do
exactly.
everything I do for the dogs, and yeah,
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is the bad side of the industry. There's obviously two camps. You've got the animal abusers and everything, and all their cult following, and then their 10-second amazing reel on TikTok. And then you have got the trainers that are more kind, ethical, up to date methods, and everything they do is for the love of the dog. But unfortunately, I have seen the bad side of that industries, that camp as well, because of they just turn in on each other, or they turn in on one person. If it doesn't fit with what they deem as acceptable,
yeah.
they just turn in on that person, and it's toxic, and it's a horrible place to be.
Yeah, like I say, I have enough people that support me who got me through it, but it's not something that I ever want to go through again, to be honest. And so it would make me think twice in the future about doing something like that. But my attitude has always been that unless you work with people who are doing things in a way that you don't necessarily agree with, shouting someone down never works. It never works. People go on the defensive and they don't want to listen. And I've seen it where people have done things in Canicross, like potentially they're starting their dogs younger than is generally accepted, which is around a year old. And people have gone out running with young dogs, and people then are just vicious to them. And I've never approached anything that I've done like that. I've always said to people, okay, you've done that, or this is the way you're doing things now. But actually,
Mm.
can I show you, or can I explain that there might be a better way? And actually, by working alongside people and just showing people that there is a better way, tends to get people listening rather than shouting people down, which just instantly gets people's backs up. And then they go, I'm not listening to what you said. And I've had it before where people have commented on yeah, like I say, like dogs doing things too young. And then people just leave groups. And then they don't want to be educated on the reasons for why people are saying that, because they feel like they've been criticized. They feel like they've done the wrong thing for their dog. They're embarrassed. They then get defensive, like I say. And then you lose people. And so you think, oh, actually, are they ever going to learn from that experience? Or what are they going to learn from that experience? They're going to learn that the people in the Canicross groups are horrible and make nasty comments if you do something wrong. And so I prefer to deal with things differently and to just gently shove people in the right direction. But not everyone's like that. Not everyone is like that.
No. No, it is a shame. And also what I find frustrating is that people claim to be force-free and only adopt positive reinforcement methods, kind and ethical methods to the dogs, but they, in the same token, they're not that way to other humans.
Yeah.
And I've seen how nasty people can be, and that's what frustrates me. And I try and keep myself out of it now, keep myself to myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's sad.
All the drama. There's clearly
It's
so much of it.
sad we get like that. But like I say, for me, it's always about the dogs and improving what we can for the dogs. And I maintain that. So actually, that's what sort of got me through it in the end, was like, actually, I know that my intentions with that were good. I feel like we made
Exactly.
a positive difference to that dog. And even if it was only that one dog, even if nobody else took anything positive from that piece that we did, that dog was happier at the end of that day. And so I'm like, that's one dog that I managed to help by doing that. So that's a
Yeah.
positive.
Oh, bless you. Thank you for being able to talk about it now and letting me delve into it a little bit deeper. And I didn't want you to feel uncomfortable about talking about it. I'm happy that you're able to discuss it with me.
Yeah, I think you're somebody, like you say, you've seen it a lot, and your podcast is about business owners, and we should talk about these things because it can be really difficult, and some people don't have that resilience to be able to bounce back from it. And it really makes me sad to think that there are other people that have maybe experienced something similar and actually have just gone and given up what they're doing. And they might have been doing something really good, but just feel like they can't cope with that side of it. And so have stepped away from it because they don't have the sort of capacity to deal with it. And I'd understand if they didn't, because I nearly didn't either. It was very hard to get through that period.
Okay.
But
I yeah, I know what it's like. I know it can be toxic. I won't go into too much detail, but I did have a similar situation a few years ago where, as part of one of my businesses, it's pet sitting, and we were pet sitting for another dog professional, and that person wasn't of the positive reinforcement camp, unfortunately. They actually got kicked off one of their courses with a well-known force-free organisation. But we ended up pet sitting for these dogs, but we weren't told enough information about the behavioural issues of these dogs. And anyway, it all went completely tits up, and this person completely lost their shit and tried to destroy me and my businesses on social media. It wasn't even me, it was one of my pet sitters as well. But because I wouldn't back down and I stood firm by my T's and C's, and I wouldn't back down and I wouldn't give in to being bullied, literally, like, all his cult following came at me on social media. I was getting inbox, like, I'm a gay man, I was getting homophobic abuse in my inbox. I was getting abuse. I was getting reviews left, fake reviews. This person was even messaging my clients who were commenting on our post in support of us. And it was awful. It was the most stressful time in my life a couple of years ago. It consumed my life. It caused arguments between me and my husband. I couldn't think or concentrate on anything at that time. I didn't even leave the house, and I had to get my insurers involved. I had crisis management included with my insurers, and I was also a member of the Federation of Small Business, FSB, at the time. So I spoke to their crisis management team, put out a statement. The police had to get involved, and we had to collect all this evidence, and this person was interviewed under caution, and they then had to end up completing a community victim course. And yeah, it was just awful, basically. It was just a time in my business life. I've been doing this 8 years now, just over 8 years. And at that point, I was ready just to give it all up. But they were intent on ruining my business. They basically were like, you're not going to have a business at the end of this. Once I finish with you, you're going to end up working on the checkouts in Tesco's, where That's not an insult to me because my mum works in Tesco's and she has done for nearly 30 years. So it's no problem with working in Tesco's. But anyway, it was just how bad it can get on social media. Social media is great. And I haven't talking about this instance publicly like I have just now. And I'm being very careful and diplomatic in what I say. And obviously I have spoken about it in private to people, but it just goes to show like how bad and toxic things can become on social media, and people with cult followings and everyone jumping in. And at the end of the day, there's a person. I'm a human being.
Yeah.
Me and this pet sitter, we were at this receiving end of all this. It was awful.
I can't even imagine with it getting that bad. But yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. That you're a person at the end of the day. And I think that people forget that when they're putting things online. It's really easy to type something out and just hit the return button and, oh yeah, upset them. And I'm like, why would you aim to actually do that to somebody? Even if you don't agree with something that somebody is doing, you do not need to hunt somebody down, get other people to do the same and to comment and to stir up all that hatred. It's a horrible part of social media that I thankfully have only really that one experience of. There have been other little odd bits here and there, because sometimes if somebody is putting themselves out there and trying to share stuff, it happens. But it makes it hard for people who, like I say, don't have that kind of strength of character and that strong personality. And honestly, it pains me to think of the amount of people that maybe have stepped away from things because of that. And do these people that are doing it realize what an impact that has on people's lives, or do they just not care? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I just know I would not be involved in that. I never have been. It's not the way I look at things. And I feel for anyone who has been through anything like that, because
Yeah.
all we're
Give,
trying is
give me
the
the dogs any day.
yeah.
Yeah, give me the dogs. It's the humans. Give me dogs. The dog. Emily, as we start wrapping up, I'd just love to ask you a final thought or reflection. So for anyone that is listening, they're juggling several ideas or businesses or directions all at once, and they're wondering whether they need to keep everything going, let something go, or change course completely, what would you want them to remember?
Remember what it is that is your ultimate sort of vision, your ultimate goal. I think keeping that in mind is, what do you want to achieve? And people have said this to me. Is this going to help you towards your goal? I ran an event up until last year as well called Tri Dog, which is a triathlon with dogs, which obviously incorporates the Canicross, but it's a bit of biking with your dog and swimming with your dog as well.
Oh, wow.
And I enjoyed seeing the dogs doing it, but I was there sort of thinking, this is a lot of stress, a lot of organization, a lot of my time. Is this really going towards my goal of helping more people stay as active as long as possible with their dogs, which is ultimately my why, which is why I do everything that I do? And I thought, it's a bit of a side quest, that. It's a nice little side quest, but it's not actually going towards the main goal. And
Yeah.
so, I sold that as well, because I was like, it's not pushing me towards where I want to be, which is, I want to help as many dogs as possible and as many people with those dogs as possible. And so yes, that was a nice little side quest, which I loved doing for nearly 10 years. But actually, I need to focus on the therapy side so that I can help more people in that respect now, if I want to get to keep pushing towards that goal. And that is what I would say to anyone who is running a business and juggling all these different things. What are you achieving with what you're doing? Are you achieving your sort of main goal or vision through it? If the answer is no, do you need to be doing it? If you love doing it and it's something that you want to do, fine. But sometimes sacrifices have to be made for actually being able to push forward with the things that really light you up, that really your reason for doing it, basically. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, if it's not pushing you towards your main goal, your main for your business or your life even, then I would say maybe you need to think about whether it has space there or whether you could get rid of it, which is what I've done with things over the last year or so. And don't get me wrong, it was really hard. It took me a long time to make those decisions, but I was like, come on, are you actually doing what you want to be doing with this, or are you just hanging on to it because it's quite a fun thing to do? And I was like, it's not getting me there, so let's move it on.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to revisit your why, isn't it? The why you're doing it as well. And yeah, and just getting rid of things that don't no longer serve you or help you get towards your goal.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
Emily, if our listeners or viewers would like to find out more about you, where can they reach you, please?
Probably the best place is the Canine Trail Time website. So that's www.caninetrailtime.com. Like I said, we have Canicross Coach as well and the Active Dog Academy. They're all on Facebook. But yeah, my website has a lot of information for people as well as the retail side of it. And the best way to contact me is by email because messages everywhere. You get WhatsApps, you get Messenger, you get Instagram
I was
stuff.
only talking about this last night in a session. Yeah.
It's just everywhere. Everything hits you from everywhere. But actually, email is the best way to get hold of me if you actually want me to sensibly reply within a specific time frame. So yeah, Canine Trail Time is probably the best way.
What I'll do is I'll get you to send me those links through, and then I can add them all to the show notes. So I'll pop them in the show notes below for you. But Emily Thomas, thank you so much for joining me on the Pet Business Wellbeing Podcast. I've absolutely loved chatting with you today.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Pet Business Wellbeing Podcast with me, Nathan Dunleavy. If you enjoyed today's chat, I'd love it if you could share this with a friend. Subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And please consider leaving me a review, as it really helps me reach more pet professionals who need this kind of support. Until next time, take care of yourself, look after your well-being, and remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about building a business you actually enjoy being in. Before I go, I just wanted to mention something briefly following the free webinar I hosted last night, Why Pet Pro Wellbeing is Essential for a Sustainable Business. At the end of the webinar, I talked about the Pet Business Wellbeing Circle Plus, my group mentoring and wellbeing membership for pet professionals. Circle Plus actually wasn't due to be open again until the end of September, but following the webinar, I decided to open the doors for a short additional window. So, Circle Plus is now open until midnight on Monday the 24th of August. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while and some of the things we talk about here resonate with you, Circle Plus is where we go a little bit deeper and explore this stuff together. We have 2 live group mentoring sessions each month, guest experts, core content, resources, replays, and PDF summaries, plus the Ask Nathan space where members can bring things they'd like my support with. But probably the bit I'm most proud of is the community that's already growing. It's off of Facebook, it's on a lovely platform called Heartbeat, and I've built a place where pet professionals can feel safe and finally excel. Somewhere where you don't have to pretend everything in business is wonderful all the time. There's absolutely no pressure to keep up. You don't have to attend everything live, work through everything or post every day. You can dip in when you need it and take what serves you and leave what doesn't. So if you've been wondering whether Circle Plus might be for you, the doors are open until Monday at midnight. I'll pop the link in the show notes so you can have a proper look. And if now isn't the right time, that's absolutely okay, because Circle Plus will be back in the future. Bye for now.